did you write the music in with keyboard, or did you use arpeggiated stuff in your DAW? Or how did you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, in the different instruments I was using, kind of like uh, of uh, so there was arpeggiators and I would just mess with those, and we would mess with those and get them to the way we wanted, and just record them as that.
Hmm.
But certainly I use a keyboard to write everything.
Cool. Yeah, it's the kind of the composer's instrument, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, absolutely. I tried over the years to use guitar because I'm more of a guitar player, but it's just terrible. So
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite song from any of the Mass Effect games? One or two.
Wow. Yeah, let me take a look at the soundtrack.
I like Sigil. That's a really cool one, and I think it's the Suicide Mission from 2 is pretty cool as well.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. Like,
let's go to Mass Effect. There we go. Let's see. I liked the Citadel, the Presidium, the wards. Those are all really cool. That all happen inside the Citadel. I like those pieces a lot. I also like the Thorian and Noveria.
yeah,
The Thorian was like a really weird creature, so I wrote a theme for that creature. It's just a really
it's cool. I think I found one of the little sounds that you use. Is it this one? That's from the Torian level. It's called female morphing. Yeah.
That's probably from Omnisphere or
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I know you found it.
Yeah, I went because I use Spectrasonic stuff and Omnisphere for quite a lot, so I recognized some of the sounds. Yeah.
Like Noveria for its, just Noveria was it's just I wrote a theme for it, and it was it's just really cool. I know Casey, it's one of Casey's really loved it when I did that one. He was
it's cool
because it sounds like
has this kind of snowy sound to it for some reason.
Yeah, it's a nice planet, and one of my favorite themes from the soundtrack isn't one of mine, it's one of Sam's called Uncharted Worlds, and it's just a really
oh yeah.
So the story behind that one is pretty interesting. So did an audition for the game. He wasn't originally one of the composers on the game. He auditioned to be the composer, and so he wasn't a composer on the game. And I remember my initial meeting with the creative team. Well, there's this one guy that wrote this one theme that we really like, and I listened to Uncharted Worlds, and it was Sam's audition piece, actually.
Right.
And I looked at them, and I actually looked at them all, and I said, "Why did you hire me? This is such an awesome piece of music. How you hired me? What's the deal?"
Oh man, you're too modest.
Oh my God! So no, it's such a great piece of music, and then later on, going on where I just needed some help, so we brought Sam on with me to finish the game, and we ended up using this. It was a way to get that. So he came on. He wrote some great themes for the game, like Silence theme and Other Worlds, and good stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, all you guys that contributed. I mean, it's just yourself and Sam. It's just all so seamless. It actually when you play it, you're like, when I didn't know that it was a few composers. It sounded like it was the same composer for all the songs. It's amazing. Like,
yeah, we managed to keep it pretty coherent, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's a great piece, and it has all those. It's like, it kind of reminds me of you know Steve Reich, some of his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's kind of like
Love
it's all
it.
phasing and it's all just different you know, different motifs overlapping. It's cool.
Yeah. Right. Minimal, sort of minimalist style where you just change one thing at a time, and
Right.
it morphs over time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so cool, and I love that. I mean, I'm a minimalist fan anyway. I love all that, you know, Steve Reich stuff.
Sure,
And,
yeah. Me too.
But yeah, so what else to have here? Oh yeah, well, I mean, this might be not a subject that you want to talk about, but why you decided to move on from Mass Effect 2 and you know, give the reins to somebody else?
I'm not really sure I made that conscious choice, or it just kind of happened. I'm not sure. Like back to, you know, God, we're so far away from it now. It's like time I was doing Mass Effect 2, I was also working on traveling all over the world doing concerts with Video Games Live. It was my show.
Oh right, yeah.
Show. It's still going, but I'm not a part of it anymore. But back then, I was traveling all over the place. I remember we were supposed to play down for a couple of weeks. Right near the end of. After that, we were going to Europe to do a tour. I was going to Scotland and Germany and France and all these places we were going to go do the show. And I really couldn't go because I had to finish this game, you know.
Oh wow!
And I remember finishing the game. And joining the tour I think I joined them in Paris, show in Scotland, and one in,
right.
Yeah, and it was just like, and from there I think we flew over to Taiwan. It was in China. After it was just enormously crazy. It was just an enormously crazy time, and I was so burnt out when I was done. And because I was also implementing the score, it was like ass off on that score, and to get it the way I wanted it, I was really super happy with it. But one of the problems with doing it that way was that and in an entire level of music. Like I wouldn't just give them this I wrote for this and give them the entire level. And so Casey was like very busy. They had a lot of problems on Mass Effect 2 getting they were late, and you know.
Okay.
And I guess wasn't handing pieces in like okay, here's one today and you'll get another one in a couple of days. Like I was holding all that back because I was tweaking it as I went along to satisfy myself in terms of the game. So he would get these finished levels kind of what he would consider to be really late. So he just wasn't happy with that process, but no one ever told me that.
Oh, okay.
So the process, we had like you know, I thought he was happy. I thought everyone was happy. I was really happy with the score. I thought it was really good. It's to this day, I think it's one of my best scores, you know?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
And so I was just really happy with it. But I think Casey was not happy with the process, you know? And so we did sort of afterwards, and, you know, he voiced all his concerns and his, you know, his issues with that process. And I explained why it was done that way. And the fact that no one told me you were unhappy. You know,
right, well, that's a bit of a deal, you know. If someone's not open with you,
had some communication problems going through it, and basically it was heartbreaking. But you know, we just decided to part ways after that because it wasn't happy with that. He wanted a different process, and you know, and I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And it was such a hard game for me. I was just like, okay, well, all right, that's fine for me. I'll just move on and do something else. And
right,
you know, but it was a tough thing to move away from. But then when 3 came out, it was kind of a mess, you know, and it was just, it reminded me like how tough it is to work on these games, the Mass Effect games. They were really hard to get through.
Right.
So I didn't, you know, what they're doing is kind of groundbreaking in their envelope, and it you know, they push the envelope really far.
Absolutely, yeah.
Making some real art, man. So
if you're asked to do another Mass Effect soundtrack, would you do it?
Oh, I can't imagine I wouldn't. I mean, we're far enough away from it that you know, it could be an interesting. I guess it would depend on who was, and you know, if they were, and that kind of thing.
Say it again. Sorry,
I'd want. Oh, sorry. I guess it would just you know, just be a matter of who was working on it. Do they want to work with me? Could I see myself really doing my best work on the game? And
right,
because I do love the it would be great to bring the series back with some glory, you know?
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
Trouble the last couple of games, but she's back on it now, so hope there. I think he's a talented producer, director.
Yeah, because I played the most recent one, and it was disappointing, you know, because I'm such a huge fan, and I'm sure other people were disappointed as well. So, you know, hopefully after Anthem, I don't know, maybe something will happen. The Mass Effect series will get rejuvenated, and you'll be on board again. That'll be unbelievable, you know.
Well, it certainly would be fun to try to do something new with it. What they're planning, I honestly have no idea.
Right. Well, you know, fingers crossed.
I'd love to see it come back. That'd be cool. Even if I'm not involved, I'd love to see it come back. You know, I love sci-fi. I love it. Yeah, I did a little indie game. I did a little indie game a couple years ago called Into the Stars.
Oh, okay.
Which we did a vinyl soundtrack for, which was fun. And it was kind of in this sort of style, but it was its own thing as well.
So, what advice would you give somebody now who'd want to get into writing music for video games?
That's a good question. I think most of this business is really about networking, you know, just about getting yourself out there and meeting the developers and have a problem, which is, you know, telling a good story with music. And if you can with your music, and your music is kind of helping to tell the story,
right?
Somehow get your foot in the door to convince people that you can help do that. That's the problem you need to solve, you know. So I would say that's a really big you know, getting into the sphere of games. But it does take quite a bit of like push to make that happen these days. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people trying to get in the business, and it really is about, you know, your track record and what you've done before. But it's also, can I do something new and exciting? Because everyone's always looking for a new sound, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
for the rehash film score anymore. They're looking for, like, games is a place where you can really stretch your legs and do something unique.
Yeah,
that's what developers are looking for the most.
And I think that's why I love, you know, video game music, because it can be so different from everything else. You know, it's like so varied. And I honestly believe, because I've done 2 films before, and it was great fun, but you know, sometimes the directors, you know, they have a specific idea in mind for what they want, and you can't really flex. You can't really do what you want, and you're sticking to what their vision is, as opposed to what you think the, you know, music should be for the game, you know.
Yeah.
And I actually honestly think
Absolutely.
video game composers, they get a little bit more free will, a little bit more leeway with writing music, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Video Games Live was something Tommy Tallarico and I, we had started Audio Network Guild back in 2002, I want to say. Worked together really seriously on that, and it went so well. We worked really well together, and we thought, we took a break and said, well, what else could we do together? And wouldn't it be fun to do a concert? Let's put a concert together. And we really meant just to do one concert, you know?
Right.
But somehow we got introduced through our attorney, guy who William Morris, who was like head of touring, in what we were doing so much. He said, well, I can get you a deal with Clear Channel, and we can do a concert, tour. Let's put together a big concert tour, and
Cool.
let's do that. So we ended up doing that for many years. We did our first concert in 2005, 3 years later. It took 3 years to put it together. It's tough.
Wow.
While we're doing our other jobs. And then we toured for 5 years until, I guess it was 2010. I just left because I just wanted to get back to full-time composing, because it was obviously, interfering with the work I was doing as a composer. I just didn't have enough time to do enough work, and I wanted to get back to that full-time. So
Sure. Yeah, I can
Right
imagine
after-
touring and stuff, going to different countries, and that would be would
Yeah.
take its toll. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time out and doing this with me, because it's great to get into the 2000s era and listen to your thoughts and just thanks for the music, and hopefully I'm gonna hear you again soon, again at some time. That'd be cool.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. It was
Cool.
fun reminiscing about Mass Effect.
Yeah. And do you have any final words at all, or anything you want to say, or?
No, just greetings to Dublin, Ireland. I love
Thanks.
Ireland.
Well,
In
listen.
town, I want to have a beer with you.
I was just gonna say that if you're around, we'll have to go grab a Guinness.
Absolutely.
Listen, thanks so much, Jack, and I'll definitely talk to you soon again.
Okay. Thanks again, Scott.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, man. Take care. Bye bye.